Hi guys! So today I'm going to introduce you to the Silhouette Mint. The Silhouette Mint is a standalone device that is used to make stamps. It comes with blanks in 7 different sizes. It doesn't come with, it's available with blanks in 7 different sizes and all these colors of ink. And the starter kit, which ranges usually from about $50 to $70 depending on where you get it. You get the machine, you get the power cord and the USB cord, which aren't shown here. You get the 4 bottles of ink, so you get black, blue, yellow, and red. And then you get 2 stamp blanks and 2 blocks. So here's the first one I made when I first got it to try it out. So you get the block, and then you get this little stamp blank kit. So it comes in a little bag like this. And what you do is you send your blank through the machine. It will, I want to say print, I use that term loosely. It'll print the design onto your stamp, and then it goes on this little sheet that gets fed through the back, and it prints the image, and then you take this little rubber piece out of the card, and you stick it to this little stamp pad. So this is adhesive, so this comes off, and you stick the little pad to it, and then you ink it with these inks. And then you just stick it on the block and you use it. And it comes with 2 labels. So you take your stamp and you can stamp your labels, and then you can put one on the bottom, and you can put one on the top as well if you like I did here. But if these are stamps you're just making a bunch for yourself, you don't necessarily need to buy a block for every single stamp you have, because these just slide right off. So you can slide this one off and replace another one. Do your stamping, pull it off, and you have your sticker on each lid so that you can keep track of what's what. So it's really cool. This is, so here's a copy. This is actually stamped with the stamp. You can see I have multiple colors. You can do as many colors as you want. And then the stamp itself, see if I can get the light just right, so you can see how this works is it's not like a raised rubber stamp like it used to. It's almost like, and I don't know the specifics for sure, but this blank goes through the machine with this plastic cover on. Don't take this plastic off. And it's like it burns the image into the rubber. And so by opening up that rubber, and then the ink can get in, the ink can only come back out through where it's been burned off. That's not technical at all, but so that you ink it with this. You don't have a stamp pad that you need to use. That's what allows you to do all the different colors, and it's supposed to be good for up to 50 stamps before you have to re-ink it. But I mean, you hardly use any ink, so these little bottles will last you for quite a while, and they're like $2 to $4 depending on where you get it. But yeah, it just, don't take this plastic off. It just feeds through, comes out the front, and then you break it. And I'll show you how to do that after we print a few. But it comes with its own standalone software, the Silhouette Mint Studio. It's a little different. It's not, if you're used to using version 4.1 of the Silhouette Studio, it's kind of a throwback to a much older version, but it's very easy to work with, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to jump on the computer. We're going to design a couple stamps. I'm going to show you how the machine works. I'm going to show you how we ink and show you kind of some of the things that you can do with this. So I'm really excited. So let's hop over to the computer. Okay, so this is the Silhouette Mint Studio. And when you open it, you've got a blank work area here. You've got some menus on the left, some menus on the top, and then some in the right top hand corner. And so what you do is you can click on this one that looks like the stamp sheet and pick the stamp size that you're working with. And then you can use your text tool to type, and all of the fonts that are installed on your computer will be available just like in Silhouette Studio. You've got some different shapes that you can draw, and you can alter the settings for those, how you want to do that. And they're a lot of fun to play with, and they have frames, and then you can draw lines or just kind of freehand, and of course there's an eraser tool. And then you have your word library, and it comes with 50 designs to start with, and I've added in some of my own. They've not updated the software in a long time, so what I've found, and I haven't tested everything, is there's no like designer edition or business edition. There's just the one Mint Studio, and it runs off of Studio 2, like the V2 files, or older. So if you have Silhouette Studio and you've designed some files and you want to use those for a stamp, if you save them to your hard drive and save them as the legacy file and not a V3 file, you're typically able to use them in the Mint Studio. You do have access to the library, which you're able to find things. You know, patterns like these aren't going to work with a stamp, but something like this pumpkin down here would. The fonts will work. This monogram would work. These are just some examples of what's up here right now. But you can use a lot of those in the studio. And so I've already kind of got two set up and ready to go. I'm going to cut the largest stamp and the smallest stamp. So this one's going to be on the 15mm square. And it's just a mandala, and I'm going to show you how you can get kind of like a watercolor effect with that. So if you select it, what you can do is down here at the bottom, with your item selected, if you click this little arrow, corner to corner arrow, it will size it to the size of the stamp. And so that makes it really easy. And then you can preview what your stamp's going to look like. So if you click this little preview button, it's going to show you how it's going to print. And you've kind of got some different options, and you can play around with those. And you can even import pictures. So let me show you. If you were to, let's go, I did this one earlier. I'll show you this when we go back to the table. If you go to File, Merge, and I have a little picture of my dog. And so what I did was I took the crop tool, square, and I cropped out his face. And then you just delete the excess. And I could even crop that a little more. And if you, again, click on it, fit it to the stamp size, when you go here to this little palette and you click realistic, you can see the different options that you can do as far as your stamp. And so I did realistic, and I'll show you that when we go back to the table, but we're not going to do that one right now. So we're going to go back here, and this is the 45 by 90mm. So this is the largest stamp size that they have. And when you send it to the Mint, you click on this little Mint leaf, it will automatically mirror it for you. So do not mirror your image. And what you're going to do is you're going to click Start Mint. Your Mint's going to flash, telling you that it's ready. And then on the back of the Mint, there's this slot right here. And so you're going to feed your stamp into the slot, and it's going to suck it in. It'll tell you if you've selected the wrong size stamp pad. It's not going to print it on the wrong size accidentally, but it's going to feed through. The bigger the stamp or the more detailed, the longer it takes. I think the one of my dog took maybe like 40 seconds, so it really does not take that long at all. And so when it finishes, it kind of spits it out, and then you just take it out and you can see the image is mirrored. The plastic's still on, and when we go to the table, I'll show you how we apply it and ink it. So now we're going to do another one. We're going to do this tiny one. And so we're going to go back to the tiny one. And for this one, I was playing around, and I picked a mottled look to make it look kind of like a stamp. I'm going to go back and I'm going to click standard. I was just curious what that was going to look like. So we're going to go to standard, and then we're going to click the Mint leaf and start Mint. And same thing, I'm going to feed that into the back. And this one will go real quick. So first it detects the media, it makes sure it's got the right size stamp in there. And then it prints it. And it spits it right out. And so that is what we have. That's all there is to it. Okay, so here we are. We have cut our stamps and we're going to apply them to our block. So again, I did the largest stamp and I did the smallest stamp. So I've already done these. I showed you this one earlier in the video, but let me show you these other ones. So again, I showed you how you can swap these out. So I have one block and two stamps for this one. And so what you do is you just slide this off like that, and then you can slide the other one on so that you can use this stamp. Makes it really easy to not take up a bunch of space. You save money because you get two of these like this, exactly what you see here, for the price of just this. So it works out really well. So these are the ones I did earlier, between the time that I filmed the first one and this one. So we have a Santa Claus address. Let me focus. So I have one with Santa's address on it. And that one is 3 different colors. And I'll show you those up close in a second. I know they're out of focus right now. And then I did a signature stamp, which has my signature on it. And that's all one color. And again, I know it's blurry. I'll show it to you up close. I did the picture of my puppy dog here. It's all one color. And then I did, this one was really cool. This one is a thank you for buying handmade stamp. And you can see up close different colors. And this one kind of has a watercolor look to it. So let me put us back into focus here. So you can see how these look. So these are all stamps. I really dig the watercolor look on this one, and we're going to do another watercolor. I'm going to show you how to do multicolor. For a single color, it's really easy. So I wanted to show you some of the multicolor options. Alright, so let's start with the big one so we can soak the longest. So I'm going to go ahead and prep my stamp. So I like to go ahead and peel off this backing so that it's ready to go when I get the stamp off the sheet. So you want to take this plastic piece here, or this cardboard piece, and bend it back and forth to kind of separate it. And then just kind of lift up on the stamp. And then you're going to pull it off from that plastic. And then this is just trash. And you're going to place it here on the stamp base. And it works a lot better if it's on the block than if it's just by itself. And I just kind of like to press it down and make sure that it's stuck on there real good. And so for colors, I'm going to do red and green. And I really want to use, let's do blue and maybe some black. Okay. So you have to be careful. Let me zoom in again, or focus in so I can zoom in. Okay, so I don't know if you remember on the example I had on the computer, Santa's sleigh was black and the rest of this was another color. You have to be really careful when you're applying the ink if you want it to do that. It's focused here. Did you see how close Santa is to that ring? You have a little bit of gap, and you may get some blending of the colors over time, but it's up to you if you want to try to keep it all one color or make it multiple colors. So we're going to start with, let's do red for overnight delivery. So you get these little bottles, and these are 5 milliliter bottles, and they really go a long way. Once you ink the stamp, you're supposed to be able to get 50 impressions out of it before you have to re-ink it. But they're really reasonable. They're like $2 to $4 a piece. But there's no stamp pads to keep up with. You don't have to clean it off after you're done with it. You can kind of ink it and go. Let me let you see what's going on here. So you can see it's already starting to soak in. Okay, we'll do some green. Probably not going to be perfect. Black for the reindeer. It's really hard where those pieces kind of get really close. And then we'll do blue. I'm going to make it colorful. So the colors kind of touch, so there's going to be a little bit of blending of colors there, but it's okay. Alright. So we're going to let that one sit and soak. And we're going to work on this other one. Oh, I got blue ink on my mat. My new cutting mat. I don't know if y'all have seen the tour of my new studio on my Facebook page. I've remodeled my studio. And this little one here, we're going to again crack this cardboard, pull the stamp out, and then pull it off of that plastic. And then let's do teal. Let's do ash blue. I'm curious. I haven't looked at these colors yet, so I don't really know what they look like, but that's really pretty. And then maybe a regular blue. Okay, so I'm going to take for this watercolor look. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of put a sploosh on there. Okay, I'm going to do this for all the different colors. Just going to let that soak in there and see what we get. It's an experiment. Make sure you recap these. The ink does dry pretty quick, so you don't want it to dry on the cap. And let's check on our overnight delivery. So it's soaked up quite a bit. And here where it's sitting, there's not really an impression area underneath that. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a piece of paper. And you want to just stamp it a few times. And you just want to get off all that excess ink is what you're trying to do. And you just want to keep stamping. And like I found so far that the larger the stamp, the harder it is to get a really good clear impression. But you can do it. And you don't want to push too hard. There we go. We'd have a little ghosting right there. So we have a little ghosting around the Santa's sleigh. So when that happens, you can just wipe that off with a tissue off of your stamp or something, if it's not all coming off. And then you take the little label that came with it and stamp your label. And I did a horrible job. And you could use, if you run out of these, you could use Avery labels or some other kind of sticker paper. I'm gonna push too hard on that one. The large ones are the pug one that I did of my dog. That one's been hard too. But let that dry so it doesn't smudge when you go to stick it on. And they give you two because you can put one on this side and one on this side. But because I have one block for 3 stamps, I want to be able to switch them out. So we're going to let that dry. While that's drying, let's check on our mandala. Again, we want to stamp off all the excess. And that looks really cool. So let me focus in again. If you can see that. My focus isn't working very well. Turned out really neat. And then again, just stamp it on the label. Let it dry. And I have learned you don't want to smudge. And then just stick it on there. And then as it runs out of ink, you just apply more ink to it like we did the first time. And just keep stamping. So I think I need to practice with the big one. There, that's a good one. Turned out really good. I'm excited. So that's it. That's the Mint. It's a really neat little machine. I really dig it. I think it was worth the investment. I think there's a lot of neat things that can be done with it. Be great for return address labels, for maybe a new homeowner, or for wedding invitations, or tags like we did this one when you stamp it and then you could just put the name down here. We have the thank you one which you could stamp on packaging if you were selling something to somebody. The autograph one, signature one works really well, but just a lot of cool things. Business logo. So I would love to hear in the comments what you would do if you had a Mint machine. And again, I'll drop some links in the description about different places that you can buy this and some coupon codes if I have them. But check it out and let me know what you think. And if you have a Mint, show me what you've done with it. And I look forward to it. And thanks a lot, guys.